Joining me now is Jim McDonald, the founder, president, and CEO at Kootenay Silver. Great to see you again, Jim.
Good to see you, Mark.
Now, a lot of developments since we last spoke at one of the Red Cloud conferences. But before we get to those, could you just refresh and remind our viewers about the company's projects in Mexico, where the focus right now is drilling at Columba?
Yeah, that's right, Mark. So we've got 3 different deposits we've discovered, and Columba is the 4th discovery that we've made. And out of the 3 previous deposits, we've got 214 million ounces of silver equivalent defined in the M&I category, and another 54.9 million in the inferred category. But we've been really focused the last 4 years on this new discovery called Columba, which we acquired 100% of that project just over a year ago. And we've drilled to date, including this year's drilling, we have drilled 178 holes complete and nearly 40,000 meters of drilling in the different veins. We're really concentrated on 3 particular veins right now, with a 20,000 meter program underway, half of which is completed nearly. And at the completion of that program, we think we will have enough for a maiden resource.
Well, that is obviously not an insignificant drilling program that is ongoing. You've called the results so far impressive. Taylor Combaluzier, one of Red Cloud's analysts who covers the company, he agrees with you. So part of what the highlights, or one of the highlights, is the fact that you've been extending the strike length. Can you give us some more detail about the highlights as you perceive them?
Yeah, so you'd be talking about the strike length and the D vein. There are numerous veins there, when we're concentrating on the D vein initially on this program because it's returned to date the best widths and grades that we see. So width times grade, when you have both going for you, you're adding a lot of ounces in a hurry. So we want to define the limits of that particular zone, because the highlight holes out of that are holes like 29 meters of 453 grams per ton silver, with a core of almost 18 meters of 650, and then 90 meters below that hole is 34 meters, a half kilo, and almost 10 meters of that 1700 grams per ton. And very consistent across the length of this thing, with good widths, good grades. And we've now taken it from 450 meters strike length at the beginning of this program to total strike length of about 1,250 meters so far.
As you mentioned, you're planning a maiden resource for Columba, and you said that the magical number really is 100 million ounces plus. Taylor thinks he's got a forecast of 108 million ounces or so. We know you can't give us any hard numbers just yet, but could you give us maybe a sneak peek as to what you may expect?
Yes. The size of this system is 4 kilometers by 3 kilometers in the different veins. And when you look at that footprint compared to other vein systems more advanced than us, recent discoveries, by the way, it's on par in scope with things that are 140 million to 300 million ounces in size. So we certainly have that potential. And for a maiden resource, we'd really like to see something north of 50. The magical number is 100 million, where the market really starts to like to see it and pay attention. And so, we're shooting for that, certainly. But first, you got to get a maiden resource out and continue building on what you have.
All right, one step at a time, for sure. Now let's shift focus to the other projects where you updated the resource at Promontorio and La Cigarra, and came out with a maiden resource for La Negra. So can you run us through some of the highlights and update us on the other projects?
Yeah, so those are our resource properties. So Promontorio and La Negra sit on the same project. And La Negra had never had a resource done on it. It was subject to a deal with Pan American. They liked that discovery so much. We had a deal where they were going to provide all the capital right to production if La Negra got to 50 million ounces. Now, it didn't. It's about half that size, but real nice grade for potential open pit, nice metallurgy, could be a real great project for a smaller operator. So we wanted to get that resource done and ready for what we believe is now the early stages of a strong silver market. And then in the case of La Ciguera, we had gone through and remodeled the entire deposit. We saw that the old resource model was diluting the grade. So we wanted to come out with a new resource estimate because we thought we'd have a better grade. And we certainly did. It went from 85 grams to 102 grams, and there's over 60 million ounces in that deposit. So, and we're wide open for potential to get a lot bigger. But again, when silver was $22, $23, $24, these projects were on the margin. So we just wanted to prepare them for a strong silver market and be ready. And now they are, and we'll do something with them when we get further into what we think is going to be a pretty long silver bull market here.
Now, on the financial front, Jim, earlier this year, the company, Kootenay Silver, raised more than $10 million. That was upsized from $5 million. Red Cloud was the lead agent and sole book runner. I'm just wondering your perception of the demand for the shares and the demand and the sentiment for the company based on that and currently.
Yeah, well, that financing went very well. And it was driven by, of course, the results we're getting on Columba and also interest in the silver market. We're starting to see a reemergence of interest in silver in general, and it's really making an effort to break out of that sort of $32 to $34 barrier. And when it does, it's got a pretty clear run to $40. And so we're seeing interest build, certainly, and the Columba results are helping that a lot. And of course, the general silver market is the other big factor.
Right. I've got a question about the silver market in just a moment, but back to Taylor Combaluzier. He has said that he believes that if the drilling results continue to be robust, then Kootenay Silver will likely get a re-rating on the stock. Do you agree with that? And what would that look like, do you think?
Yeah, I do agree in that. And it could be pretty substantial. When you look at existing ounces in the ground and what we're valued at on those ounces, it's very, very, very low. And so we've got a lot of potential just on that. And if you just look at Columba on its own, our valuation will be higher just because of the Columba project. So, I'm not can't prognosticate on what could happen, but we've got a lot of leverage of the silver price, and with a new discovery, you've got even more potential leverage on the upside.
Lastly here, Jim, back to the price of silver. It seems pretty comfortable here, above $30 an ounce. You mentioned the 32 to 34 range. If it can break through there, that'd be a first for several years and could really lead to some momentum. So you've got that, but on the other hand, many junior exploration companies, they're still not getting the love from the market. So what's your view of current sentiment for the juniors and how Kootenay Silver fits into that landscape?
Well, I mean, we fit in really well. We stand out because of the large resource base we have, in this new discovery is really making us stand out a lot. The drill results at Columba. As for the junior space in general, it's lagging, and that's very typical of any cycle. First, it'll be the big mining companies that respond, and they've started to respond just in the last 6 months pretty strongly in increase in share price. And that's starting to come down the food chain a little bit to the smaller producers are beginning to react. And even some of the juniors now are reacting pretty nicely in our own stock. You'll see us react very quickly to silver price breakouts. And so it's in the early stages. And so I think in 6 to 8 months from now, it'll be quite different. We'll probably have a lot more interest emerging or coming down into the junior space.
All right. Exciting stuff, Jim. We appreciate your time and thanks for the update.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Mark.
Okay, Jim McDonald, the founder, president, and CEO at Kootenay Silver. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next time.